Hi, and thanks for tuning in. This is a bike that is right down our alley. It's the 2024 GasGas EX300 two-stroke, which is the top of the GasGas two-stroke line this year. Last year, this bike was completely different. It had transfer port fuel injection, it had the older frame, and it was a step behind the bikes from its sister brands at KTM and Husqvarna. Now the GasGas is on the same page, starting with a brand new motor. It now has the injectors moved back to the throttle body, and it has an electronic power valve, which is governed completely by the ECU. Everything is integrated in a multi-dimensional digital map. The computer takes input from the throttle position, engine RPM, and a number of sensors to control fuel mixture, ignition timing, power valve setting, and therefore compression ratio. This system was introduced on the KTM and Husqvarna competition models last year. Along with that comes a more current steel frame. It's more rigid in most planes of movement. This year, the GasGas also gets the newest fork in the combined Austrian fleet. It's the coil-spring version of the Xact fork that comes on the motocross bikes. The shock is similar to the one on the motocross bikes too, but it has softer settings for off-road use. Unlike KTM's off-road products, the GasGas uses linkage to drive that shock rather than PDS. The philosophy behind the GasGas brand is to offer features similar to KTM, but at a lower price. It's still not cheap. The EX300 sells for $10,599, but that is $700 less than the KTM 300 XC. You have to give up a few features along the way. The GasGas has no map switch, no handguards, and no skid plate. There are a number of components that are different, most notably the Braktec brakes and hydraulic clutch. It's also important to note where this bike is supposed to be used. GasGas classifies this as a cross-country race bike. If you're looking for a trail bike, that's the EC300, which has a completely different cylinder, a milder power delivery, and oil injection. With this bike, you mix the oil and the gas the old school way. Riding the EX300 is a blast. The power output is formidable. It's much stronger than last year's version. There's a big kick in the middle and decent rev on top. The engineers clearly didn't go all out for peak power though. Even in the meat of the power band, it's easy to control. GasGas doesn't have a 300 motocross bike in its lineup this year and didn't want this bike to get the fearsome reputation that the KTM 300SX has earned. That bike is a beast. It's not meant for the timid. The GasGas is much more pleasant and much easier to ride, despite the fact that it has the exact same cylinder and head. It's all about the mapping. As a consequence, it can't really hang with a 450 motocross bike the way the 300SX can, but you can't have everything. If you want to get closer, you can buy the map switch that comes on the KTM to access the more aggressive engine tuning. It's a plug-and-play device that sells for about $125. It really does take the bike up a notch in the power department. For anything short of racing on a real track, though, you don't really need it. The standard map will work much better for 90% of the conditions that you deal with in the off-road world. The greatest thing about this motor is how well it works at super low RPM. You can lug it down to idle, and it's just unstoppable. The motor always runs extremely clean, too. With last year's transfer port injection, it seemed like it always had a lean surge down low. That's pretty much gone. Now the bike always seems to have perfect jetting, for lack of a better word. With the KTM 300SX, we have experienced some issues with the bike hesitating and glitching when you make sudden changes in throttle position and engine load, like when you slam a berm hard and you clutch it. We haven't had that happen on the EX, although the demands of off-road riding really don't put us in that position. We're also very happy with the EX chassis. You can feel it's rigid, but most of that is masked by plush suspension settings. We really love this fork, and we have the feeling that even motocross guys will be asking for it soon. It does add a little weight. The GasGas weighs 227 pounds without fuel. The 2019 Husky TX300 was about 10 pounds lighter. That was in the air fork and carburetor days. Would we like for this bike to be that much lighter? Sure, but weight isn't really the issue here. The bike handles great and it's super easy to toss around. Like we said up front, it's like this bike was made with us in mind. It's more exciting than the EC300 trail bike and not nearly as much of a handful as the KTM 300SX. You can learn more about all the bikes we've referenced here at dirtbikemagazine.com. We also have a lot of off-road tests on tap at YouTube, with more coming. To keep up with it all, check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching.